Well, the thing that got me started in art really was in the mid-'80s I began to have a lot of memories of terrible trauma that had happened to me in my childhood, which had been pretty much suppressed and repressed and stuff that I hadn't really remembered. And after I had worked on it for a while and done some therapy, I realized that where I was going with it, it was too much for the therapist that I was seeing. And I stopped, and someone gave me a bag of clay around that time, and I just started making these little figures, and really what it was the little inside people in me trying to tell the world what had happened to them and tell me what had happened to me. And I began to realize that that even though whoever I was, there was also this presence in me that was this violent perpetrator presence that I wanted to get out of me. And at some point, and this is how a lot of my images come, I had this knowledge and this kind of feeling around it, and I just kind of got quiet and just kind of waited. And this image came in my mind, and I made a sculpture of it, which was, it's a female torso, and the person is pulling their chest open, and with one hand they're reaching inside, and inside of the torso is this white head, and the torso itself is dark. And the name of the piece is Extracting the Perpetrator, and this person is pulling this piece, this head, this white presence out of her body. And that was a piece that then, in turn, inspired a whole series of pieces about perpetration. And the first one was Studying the Perpetrator, which won the Jan Harchar Award here. And then I had an opportunity to exhibit all of them here at the Art of Living back in 2004.
Would you want to talk about what that childhood or early trauma was?
Oh, it was just, many years of incest and sexual abuse and ritual abuse and torture and pornography and all of the really worst stuff you could imagine, virtually from birth until I left home. So it went on and on and on, and I'm still recovering memories of it, and still having art that's inspired by it. Right after the Perpetrator series, I think the Art of Living Black in the Time of Perpetration, the piece I did for Ray Louise, is kind of like the most recent that's in that series. But now I'm working on another series, which is kind of loosely called a polyfragmented series, which has to do with the ways in which I was broken up by these events of my childhood. But the thing that's also really important to me about both the Perpetrator series and this series that I'm doing now is the fact that, for me, the art ties together the personal stuff that happened to me as a little kid with the stuff that's happening on the planet. And the things that happened to me as a child are very much the things that happened to Africans, to Native Americans, who are my ancestors, and to the planet as a whole, to oppressed people generally. And it feels like every piece that I make is doing like double and triple and quadruple duty, talking about multi-levels of suffering and looking for ways to free ourselves from it, if only by seeing it, because so much of it is hidden by denial and dissociation and feeling like, well, it's not really me, and things getting framed in these really weird ways that have nothing to do with the actual reality of what people are suffering and what they're experiencing. So that's a really important part of it for me.
Okay.
Lorraine Bonner was one of our 3 selected featured artists last year, so this is her entry this year.
Yeah, I'm Lorraine Bonner, and this is a clay piece that I did. Some of you may know my other work that I've been doing for many years, which is work about studying perpetration, which is my word for any betrayal of trust by one human being to another. And a lot of that work is in black and white clay, and it's very figurative. And one of the things I'm not one of these people that's been doing art my whole life. I just started doing it relatively recently, and there's a lot to learn. And I feel like I'm kind of designing my own BFA as I go along because, and I'm not paying, you know, $15,000 a year to get it. It's very nice. And one of the things that I set out to learn was figurative, really being able to really make portraits, really. And so I did this actually in a class with a model. And I've been really practicing a lot, making faces, and I love hands. And so that's what this is. This is kind of a study for me, so that if I can make a realistic looking face and really work on the expression, then I feel like I can use that when I want to do work that's more personal political. Oh, one word. Personal political. The stuff that impacts me as a person that actually is coming to me from the larger society. So that's kind of my goal. Because I find that stuff is really hard to look at. Nobody really wants to know about perpetration and oppression and all this other stuff. And yet people will look at a face. You know, people will look at hands and people will look at a figure because that's us, you know? And it's what, you know, you see yourself in it. And so I figured that the more skilled I could get at this, the more effective all of my work would be. So that's my